I want you to ask yourself a brutally honest question. When your partner walks into a room, stressed, angry, or upset, what happens to you? What happens to your own internal state? For most men, the answer is as predictable as it is unfortunate. The emotional temperature of their own mind immediately plummets to match hers. If she is cold and distant, a chill runs through him. If she is radiating anger, he begins to feel the heat of his own defensiveness. He is, in essence, an emotional thermometer, a passive instrument that simply reads and reflects the temperature of the environment around him. A thermometer has no will of its own. It has no power. It is a slave to its surroundings. And in the world of attraction, respect, and leadership, the man who is thermometer is a man who is powerless. He is reactive, unstable, and his presence offers no comfort, only a reflection of the existing chaos. But there exists another type of man, a man who makes up a very small percentage of the population, yet holds a disproportionate amount of influence and earns profound level of respect. This man is not a thermometer. He is a Stoic thermostat. A thermostat does not merely reflect the temperature of the room. It sets it. It has a desired state, a predetermined setting, and it actively works to influence the environment to match its internal standard. It is the active governing force. The Stoic thermostat is the man whose inner calm, whose rational and virtuous state, is his default setting. When he walks into a cold, tense room, he does not become cold himself. Instead, the sheer force of his own internal warmth and stability slowly, patiently, begins to raise the temperature of the room. This is not about manipulation or being artificially happy. This is the deepest and most practical application of Stoic philosophy. It is the art of becoming the master of your own emotional state, and in doing so, becoming the calm, stable, and incredibly attractive leader in your own life. Today, we are going to dismantle the flawed wiring of the thermometer and give you the blueprint for installing your own internal thermostat. We will break down the 3 essential mechanisms that allow a man to make this transformation. And pay close attention, because the third mechanism, which we will cover later, is a key that allows a man to maintain his setting even in the most intense emotional storms. Before we can build, we must first understand the default state. Why are most men thermometers? It's not an accident. We are biologically wired for empathy, and we are socially conditioned to seek harmony, especially with our partners. The thermometer's reading is driven by a set of deep-seated, subconscious beliefs. If she is unhappy, it must be my fault. I need to fix her mood to make myself feel comfortable. Her emotional state is a reflection of my worth as a man. These beliefs create a disaster. The man who is a thermometer is exhausting to be around. His partner feels, on a deep level, that she not only has to manage her own emotions, but is as well. If she has a bad day at work, she can't just come home and be in a bad mood. She has to worry about her bad mood upsetting him. This forces her to walk on eggshells, to hide her authentic feelings, which breeds resentment. She begins to see him not as a source of strength she can lean on, but as another fragile thing she has to protect. And in the brutal calculus of attraction, fragility is the opposite of what a woman seeks in a man. This reactive state is a default, but it is not your destiny. The transformation begins with installing the first and most critical mechanism of the thermostat. You must build your own independent power source. A thermometer has no power of its own. It runs on the ambient energy of the room. A thermostat, however, is wired to its own independent power source. For a man, this power source is your sovereign purpose. It is your mission. The man whose emotional life is powered by his relationship is like a device plugged into a faulty outlet. If the power from the outlet, her mood, her validation, is strong and steady, his lights are on, but if that power flickers or shuts off, he goes dark. He is entirely dependent on an external grid he cannot control. The Stoic thermostat, the man on a mission, generates his own power. His purpose, his telos, is a nuclear reactor at the center of his soul. It is a grand, meaningful project of his own becoming, his business, his craft, his physical mastery, his intellectual pursuits. This mission provides him with a steady, reliable, and internally generated source of validation, meaning, and emotional stability. When his inner world is powered by this internal reactor, he is no longer dependent on external grid or her approval. He can remain on calm, centered, and engaged with his own life, even when the external power of her mood is flickering. Her bad day is just that. Her bad day. It is an event that he can observe and support, but it does not threaten to shut down his own internal operations. His default state of calmly executing his purpose is always running in the background. This first mechanism alone, the conscious decision to build an independent power source fueled by your own purpose, is the most critical step you can take to reclaim your power. It is the act of cutting the cord of emotional dependency. If you are ready to stop plugging yourself into external outlets and start generating your own sovereign power, then take the first step in that commitment. Subscribe to this channel right now. You're not just clicking a button. You're joining a community of men who are learning to become the thermostats in their own lives. Make that choice now, and let's install the second mechanism. With your independent power source humming, you now need the second piece of hardware. A thermostat doesn't just generate heat. It must first be able to accurately read the room's temperature without being changed by it. This second mechanism is your internal sensor, which is the Stoic principle of dispassionate observation. The thermometer doesn't just read the temperature. It becomes the temperature. It absorbs the energy of the room. When a wave of her anger or anxiety enters the room, the thermometer man immediately absorbs it into his own system. Her anxiety becomes his anxiety. Her anger triggers his anger. He is emotionally porous. The Stoic thermostat, however, has a sophisticated internal sensor. This sensor is a practice of what the Stoics call persoke, a state of vigilant, mindful attention. When an emotional wave comes from his partner, he does not absorb it. He observes it. He practices the art of separating the external event from his internal judgment. He notes the data from his sensor with the cool detachment of a scientist. The data indicates that the room temperature is dropping rapidly, or the sensor is detecting high levels of frustration in my immediate vicinity. He does not become the data. This is a skill you must train. When you feel that initial emotional reaction from her, you must mentally take one step back. Acknowledge the emotion as an external phenomenon. Label it. That is anger. That is sadness. By observing and labeling it, you create a crucial space between her feeling and your potential reaction. You are seeing the weather for what it is, without becoming the weather yourself. This dispassionate observation allows you to remain calm and understand what is truly happening, rather than being immediately hijacked by it. You cannot regulate a room until you can first read it accurately, without breaking your own internal machinery. Having your own power source and accurate, detached sensor are the first two stages of becoming a fully functional thermostat. They give you stability and clarity, but they are useless without the final, most advanced piece of the system, the command and control unit that takes the data from the sensor and decides what to do next. In the continuation of this guide, we will reveal the third and most powerful mechanism, the internal regulator that allows you to consciously set the emotional temperature of any interaction, turning you from a passive observer into a true and benevolent leader. You will not want to miss the conclusion of this blueprint. We have laid the groundwork for your transformation. You have committed to building your independent power source, fueled by your own sovereign purpose. Ensure you are never again dependent on an external grid for your own light. You have also begun to install your internal sensor, the Stoic practice of dispassionate observation, allowing you to accurately read the emotional temperature of a room without being burned or frozen by it. These two mechanisms give you stability and clarity, but they are incomplete. They are the passive components of the system. Now, we must install the third and most powerful mechanism, the active component, the command and control unit that allows you to consciously influence your environment. This is the art not just maintaining your own state, but of actively setting the tone for a better one. This third mechanism is your internal regulator, and its power source is virtuous action. A thermostat, having read the room's temperature, doesn't just sit there. It takes a specific, pre-programmed action to change the environment. If the room is too cold, it switches on the heat. If the room is too hot, it activates the cooling. Its actions are not random. They are designed to bring the room back to its desired setting. For the Stoic man, this desired setting is a state of virtue. His internal regulator is pre-programmed to respond to any situation with courage, justice, temperance, which is self-control, and wisdom. This is his default. When his internal sensor detects that the emotional environment has deviated from this standard, his internal regulator activates a virtuous action designed to guide the situation back toward a state of calm, rational order. Let's see this in action. Imagine a common scenario. The room has grown cold. Your partner is distant, quiet, giving one-word answers. The emotional thermometer feels this cold and immediately reflects it. He either becomes cold and distant himself, escalating a silent war of passive aggression, or his own anxiety makes him feel cold, and he starts probing with needy questions. What's wrong? Are you mad at me? Just tell me, which only makes the room colder. Now watch the Stoic thermostat. His internal sensor, mechanism 2, accurately reads the data. The ambient emotional temperature is low. His internal regulator, mechanism 3, now activates. It consults its pre-programmed setting, virtue. What is the virtuous response here? Not coldness, not anxiety, but a calm, self-possessed warmth. The regulator chooses an action of temperance, self-control over his own anxiety, and wisdom. He understands he doesn't have all the information. Powered by his own independent power source, mechanism 1, he does not need her warmth to feel secure. He can generate his own. He doesn't chase her for an explanation. He continues with his own purpose, but maintains a warm and open presence. He might let some time pass and then calmly say, I sense you might be having a tough day. Just know I am here for you if you want to talk. And then he lets it go. He has emitted a gentle, steady warmth into the cold room without demanding anything in return. He has set the tone, inviting her into his calm rather than entering her chill. Now let's imagine the opposite scenario. The room is blazing hot. She is angry, upset, and confrontational. The thermometer instantly overheats. Her anger triggers his defensiveness. Her accusations trigger his counteraccusations. He meets her fire with more fire, and the entire situation escalates into a destructive inferno of rage and resentment. He has completely lost control, becoming nothing more than a reflection of the chaos. The Stoic thermostat, however, is built for this. His sensor reads the data. Warning, emotional temperature is dangerously high. The regulator immediately activates, consulting its prime directive, virtue. Specifically, the virtues of temperance and justice. The regulator knows that adding more heat is a catastrophic failure. The only correct action is to introduce a cooling agent. He activates the Stoic pause, vetoing his initial hot-headed impulse to fight back. He engages the virtue of justice by committing to listen fairly to her perspective, even if it feels like an attack. He then takes a virtuous action. He consciously lowers his own state. He keeps his voice calm and even. He slows his breathing. He does not interrupt. He is not adding fuel to the fire. He is a cooling system, absorbing the excess heat without overheating himself. He might say, "This is clearly very important and you are upset. I am listening." He is not agreeing or disagreeing. He is setting the tone. He is communicating through his calm that the situation will be handled with reason, not with rage. He is the leader who calmly guides both of them out of the fire, not the fool who throws more gasoline on it. This is the art being the thermostat. It is a system of 3 mechanisms working in harmony. Your purpose gives you independent power. Your awareness allows you to read the room without being infected by it. And your commitment to virtue allows you to take calm, deliberate actions that influence the environment for the better. But how do you ensure your thermostat is accurate and reliable? You must engage in the daily practice of calibration. The first practice is to set your temperature in the morning. You must define your desired internal state before the world has a chance to define it for you. The man who wakes up and immediately checks his phone is allowing the chaos of the world to set his temperature. The Stoic man, however, starts his day in his own forge. He uses the quiet of the morning for meditation, for journaling on his principles, for reviewing his mission for the day. He sets his internal thermostat to calm, purposeful, and virtuous before he even walks out the door. He starts the day as the cause, not the effect. The second practice is the regular stress test. This is the principle of voluntary hardship. You must regularly test your system under controlled, extreme conditions. The cold shower, the grueling workout, the difficult fast. These are not just acts of discipline. They are calibration tests for your thermostat. They teach your mind and body to maintain a state of calm resolve even when subjected to intense physical or psychological pressure. If you can keep your breathing steady in a shower of ice, you are training the exact same skill you need to keep your composure in a shower of anger. The third practice is the evening data review. The Stoic man ends his day with a brief period of reflection, as counseled by philosophers like Seneca. He looks back on the day, not with judgment, but with the analytical eye of an engineer. He asks, when did my internal temperature fluctuate today? What external event caused it? Did I act like a thermostat or a thermometer? If I was reactive, what was the flawed judgment that led to that reaction? This evening review is like reading the diagnostic report from your thermostat. It allows you to identify bugs in your programming, to learn from your failures, and to recalibrate your system for a better, more stable performance the next day. In the end, the choice between being a thermometer and a thermostat is a fundamental choice of a man's life. It is the choice between being a passive reflection of the world and being an active creator of your own reality. It is the choice between being a source of anxiety and being a source of stability. The man who masters this art becomes a leader in the truest sense of the word. His power is not loud or demanding. It is a quiet, gravitational force. His presence is a gift to everyone around him, especially to his partner. He offers a profound security of a man who is the master of his own soul, a man who will not be broken by the inevitable storms of life. He gives her a stable climate in which he can truly flourish, because he has first learned to control his own. This is the ultimate expression of masculine strength. It is not the ability to control others. It is the unwavering commitment to controlling yourself. Stop reflecting the world. Start setting the tone.